Good morning, everyone. Welcome to my latest article, just posted on LinkedIn. Eventually, I will have a newsletter. Very excited about that. I want to read this article to you. It's about someone very important to me in the last 3 years, Scott Adams. Scott Adams is the creator of Dilbert. He's also written multiple best-selling books, from How to Lose at Everything and Still Win. I think that's the title. Win Bigly, as well as Loser Thing. Every morning for the past 3 years, Scott Adams has put out, actually for the last 5 years, he's put out Coffee with Scott Adams. I jumped on the bandwagon about 3 years ago. Every morning, Monday through Sunday, rain or shine, I've taken a sip of coffee at 9 a.m. I'd like to read the article to you and then some of the benefits, and we'll go from there. Why a Swill of Coffee a Day Keeps the Bankruptcy Fairy Away, by Eric Vernsten. My LinkedIn profile says attorney, soldier, comedian, whatever. I have taken a swill of coffee at 9 a.m. every day for the past 3 years. My coffee has been warm, cold, in a boardroom, on a rifle range. The sip occurs simultaneously with thousands of people around the world at the beginning of Coffee with Scott Adams Periscope livestream. Scott's daily Periscopes ended this week. Actually ended last week, but within 7 days, still a week. Although he is now solely streaming on YouTube, where you can find him every morning, Real Coffee with Scott Adams, the Periscope crowd were his OGs. Now we have to merge with the YouTube commenters. Feels like a stepbrother situation. Hopefully every day is more kettle and wine mixer than running into the fifth graders. There are links in the article. You can find me on LinkedIn if you want to read that. If you don't know what the Catalina wine mixer is, or why you should stay away from the fifth graders if you were Will Ferrell or John C. O'Reilly, well, it's on YouTube. And the video is fantastic. The whole movie is amazing. I discovered Scott in 2018 through his podcast appearance on the Tim Ferriss Show. Scott is best known for creating the Dilbert comic strip. He has spent the past 5 years writing and streaming about persuasion. Everyone has a few people in their life that have inspired or helped them so much. Scott is one of mine. If you plotted a graph of my health, wealth, and happiness, it would point up and to the right. So actually for the video, it would be up and to the right since I started listening to Scott. Here are a few lessons that improve my life and how they can do the same for you. Affirmations. Affirmations reprogram your brain to focus on a target. You say or write them down over and over again. Whatever you say has to be specific and lofty. In 2019, going into 2020, I spent time every morning saying, I, Eric Vernsten, will become the 2020 Toastmasters International Speech Contest Champion. It's a mouthful, but I did say it over and over again. I had lost in an early round the prior 2 years. For those in Toastmasters that would know, I lost in the area in 2018 and 2019 and was irritated both times. Losing those prior 2 years meant that a reasonable person standard for all the lawyers listening out there, a reasonable person would find me winning the contest absurd. Although I once spent 12 months dressed up as a beer bottle when attending themed fraternity and sorority events, regardless of the actual theme. For me, absurd is just a word. Actually, it's more of a lifestyle, but we'll continue. Telling myself I would become a champion every day programmed my brain to focus on improving my public speaking in dramatic and creative ways. I scoured all opportunities, from performing improv at Second City to putting together a work presentation that heavily involved Lion King YouTube clips. If you take anything away from this article or video or podcast, involve the Lion King in presentations. It made estate planning interesting. Pretty hard to do unless you're super nerd. In January 2020, I won the Area F82 Toastmasters contest for impromptu speaking, as well as international speech contest. Boom. Think of something you want and either say or write it down 10 times. Do that each day. Visualize it each time. Feeling the achievement, seeing the room, hearing the applause. Zoom claps will be over soon. Seriously. Systems over goals. The above example, the last example, was specific, becoming a world champion. The affirmation honed my senses to look for speaking opportunities. This ended up creating a public speaking improvement system. Look for opportunities, find opportunities, do opportunities, feedback, find opportunities, use opportunities, get feedback, get better. Scott has preached systems over goals for decades. Literally, he wrote a book about it and talks about it all the time. You can also find Scott on the Locals platform. I believe it's just Scott Adams. The idea is similar to affirmations, where you have a focus but are flexible in the journey. Goals can be super hard to achieve, and it's a letdown if you don't get that goal. If you create a system, say, I want to become a world champion in public speaking, then you find every opportunity you can. Or you find a system that just says, I want to become one of the top 10 best public speakers in the world. Maybe leave it at that. And then by doing that system, you go, okay, what do I need to do? I need to find opportunities. I need to take advantage of the opportunities. I got to write something. Then I got to get feedback on it. And then it creates itself system. So before, I wanted that was like, I want to be the world champion, but it inadvertently created a system that worked out well for me. I won the area contest in impromptu speaking without any focus on that type of speech. Why? The system I built included spur of the moment talking. If any of you know me personally, which a few of you probably do, although I think I have some podcasts. Well, it's an international podcast. People listen to it all over the world. Some of you haven't met me, but hi, I'm Eric. I do impromptu speaking all the time. I love it. Here are two systems that will deliver results. My health system. I used to want to be jacked, bro, but this led to injuries. A lot of them. I would have the goal of throwing up amounts of weight, like the bro holy grail of benching 2 plates on each side. I got it a few times, multiple points in my life. However, I rarely stretched and tried lifting said large amounts of weights with stiff joints and poor form. It is hard to be jacked when injured. The injuries led to weight gain around my waist. I don't know if you can see right now, I'm in better shape. A better system involves diet and exercise. I try and buy only low carb, high protein food. As much as I could leave my apartment for ice cream, especially when the weather gets warmer, I'm lazy. I'd rather eat what is around. I also intermittently fast, which you can learn more about in my book, 10 Scientifically Proven Ways That Steve Jobs Went Against the Grain, now on Amazon and Barnes & Noble in ebook and paper format. And eventually I'll get around to recording it into a podcast. For exercise, I lift 2 or 3 times a week and run and do cardio the other 2 or 3 days. Probably more like 5 days a week, 4 or 5. If I'm super busy at work or something comes up, I'm willing to compromise by walking for 15 to 20 minutes or doing sets of push-ups in my office with the door closed while I blare heavy metal. Oh yeah. Okay, it's closer to Celine Dion than heavy metal, but it's all coming back to me is a banger. I once saw Celine in concert and she delivered. I bought tickets off the sketchy website. They ended up not really working out. So I ended up having to pay double to go to the concert, but it was awesome. Yeah, that's right. Concert. It was January 2020. We'll get back there. At 34, I am in the best shape of my life. If you really want to get in better shape, go home tonight and throw away the junk. Yes, you've already paid for it. That is a sunk cost issue. Healthy food tonight, gym tomorrow, or both today. A system allows for quick adjustments. For example, I gained weight over the summer before I started my job. During my second week of work, I bent down to pick up a file and pants ripped. Luckily, I lived close by, so I avoided waddling like the penguin to hold up my pants in court all day. Oh wait, I lived an hour away. I spent 4 hours trying to argue why individuals were dangerous and should have large amounts of money for bond while using my right hand to hold up my pants. Kind of something like this. It was very uncomfortable, and I'm sure anyone behind me was like, is it okay? I was. I turned more focus onto tweaking my health system, and all my clothes now fit. As you can tell, it's one of the reasons I do these recordings. It's not only to show that I have skin in the game when I say how to lose weight and try to do things and the systems work for me. I want to show you. And I'll eventually show you some pictures. I have some old laptops where I was super out of shape. I was fat. I was tired. I was lethargic. I was cranky. I really worked hard, and I work hard every day. That's why I have the system. It's an everyday commitment that I don't have to make because it's just right there. I just buy the right food. It's the only food I have around, and that's all I can eat. On a related note, I moved close to work because a long commute is how I picture the devil's orientation to hell. I could see how literally just being people just sitting in traffic, listening to like trying to just search the radio and it's just never on. People like yell at you, and eventually a demon gets out of their car, pulls you out of there, just beats you with a baseball bat, and you just repeat it every day for eternity. Sounds fun. Do good things. Go to heaven. My wealth system. You may have noticed that my health system abstains from drinking, partying, and gambling. Easier said than done with COVID. I had to figure out time for my workout and writing systems. I write jokes / these articles every day, ideally for an hour each. Try to get in 2 hours of writing. It's more like an hour, hour and a half combined. The drinking, partying, and gambling had to go or be left to special occasions. In a related note, my bank account keeps going up the less, or my bank account kept going up the less I drank, partied, and gambled. That's the system. Literally. Be less fat, drunk, and stupid. Shout out to Animal House, one of my favorite movies of all time. And you can move from a paycheck to paycheck lifestyle to deciding whether to buy and stake Ethereum or hold your cash waiting for a dip. Still need to get better on how to stake Ethereum. My girlfriend knows. She's awesome. I really probably need to ping her more on that, but moving on. I am waiting for a dip. I am waiting for a market dip. Fingers crossed. Learning from Scott Adams has improved my life for the better. Life is malleable, and you can create what you want through words, actions, and carefully placed Lion King clips. I added a link section when I'm reading, listening to, and watching. I'm trying to rebuild my foundations of math, science, and reasoning. I had a great education going up, wonderful school district, went to college, all that. I'm learning, though, that I think some of my foundations either have been forgotten or I started school in 94. That was 26, 27 years ago. Things have changed. So I'm updating it now. So I want to be able to, if someone says like, trust the science, I want to be able to feel confident I can read the study and say, hey, you know what? Not only is that wrong, here's why it's wrong, and therefore you can pound sand. But I have to know what's going on. It's only just to trust the science. And science is literally a field of disproving things. You should never trust science. It's such a, I don't know the term for that, but it's ridiculous. So I'm learning how to not trust science. Therefore, I'm reading The Beginning of Infinity by David Deutsch. It was recommended to me by Naval Ravikant. It gets to the first principles of science. That's what you should do with anything in life. Get to first principles. You learn from first principles. That's the baseline. Elon Musk says it. Have to know every step along the way. Book reads in a way that's both beginners and experts can follow. I'm still learning how to follow it. It's great. I'm in chapter 1 and constantly rereading page after page. There's also a podcast of Naval Ravikant with Brett Hall. Brett Hall has it's called TalkCast, Theory of Knowledge Cast, so he breaks down the book. They're both fantastic. In terms of watching, I don't have cable. The only thing I'm watching the game tonight, I probably maybe follow on ESPN a little bit. That's another thing I kind of gave up with sports. A, they just weren't on for a while, and B, you can only have a few tickets in life, as Warren Buffett would say. Sports right now, not on there. I really liked Charles Barkley's positive take on race in America. I know we talked about some politicians and what they're trying to do. Forget that for now. I'm not commenting on that. I'm commenting on the fact they said most white people and black people we know are really good. And I, expand that to Hispanics, Asians, Indians, all races, all genders. Most people I encounter are fantastic. We're all just trying to have families, get along, make a little money, have some fun. And I really enjoyed his perspective on that because I find the same thing. I've been very blessed to have wonderful people in my life of all races. And I really appreciate him saying that. If you got this far, thank you so much. You might enjoy my other content, like my podcast, which you're listening to right now, as well as my book, 10 Scientifically Proven Ways Steve Jobs Went Against the Grain comedy book. Thank you so much for listening. You can find all my other content on this podcast, as well as the book. And I hope you have a wonderful week.